Now it's on.
I turned it off while you came over.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? I think you can hear me now. Hi guys. Can you all hear me now? There we go. Okay, wonderful. Looks like we're all set on all the channels and ready to go. So, thank you for joining me today. I'm sorry we didn't get to it yesterday. We had a long day um, talking to another YouTuber. So, thank you for bearing with us on that. So, let's talk about salt. I am going to bring you over here. Let's talk all about salt today, you guys.
Salt.
There are three main types of salt: ritual witches salt, black Indian salt, and black lava salt. On top of all your regular white sea salts and so forth. Do not eat ritual salt. It has a lot of ingredients in it that are not edible. Hi, Julian. Um, Black lava salt is salt blended with activated charcoal, and it is edible. It has an earthy flavor, and it comes from Hawaii and from Cyprus. It is used as a finishing salt for fine cooking. Indian black salt, known as kala namak, is used in vegan cooking. Pure salt contains sodium and chlorine. The mineral name is halite. Sodium alone without chlorine will ignite when it comes in contact with water. Chlorine.
Interrupt you for 1 second. So I'll show you something.
Okay. I see. Thank you. No pressure, honey. None whatsoever. I just broke
it.
it.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Sweating.
+4.
+4. Thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
So, pure salt contains sodium and chlorine. The mineral name is halite. Sodium alone without chlorine, when it comes in contact with water, will ignite. Chlorine is poisonous on its own, as you know. Salt is a healing and refining compound. It is used in the spa to exfoliate skin, stimulate circulation, and relieve stress. Salt is used in lamps to produce negative ions, which are extremely soothing and calming. I have been to a day spa where the entire wall was salt, and it was lightly warmed with very dim lights from behind, so that it would, when salt is warmed, chunks of salt are warmed, they produce negative ions, and negative ions are the ones that make you feel super chill and really relaxed and really lovely. And they made this room kind of semicircular, and it was kind of like a cave. It was really fantastic. It had body salt scrubs in the spa. When I used to work in the spa, I used to do them all the time, and I used to formulate sea salt scrubs in my little shop for individual customers with different kinds of essential oils and carrier oils to rub the dry spots off and make your skin really soft. One of these days we will do a recipe with salt for that. When you buy a salt lamp to put in your room, those beautiful little Himalayan salt chunks that you stick a light bulb up, make sure when you replace your light bulb, you don't replace it with anything higher than a 1 or 2 watt bulb. Salt chunks contain a lot of water, and these things are known to explode if you use too hot of a bulb. So use caution when you are replacing your bulbs in your salt lamps. Just a side note there. Salt was heavily taxed, and wars were begun over it. In some civilizations, salt was so precious it was minted into coins to serve as currency. It was as valuable as gold, and it was roughly $300 to $400 per ounce. In 1924, the U.S. requested that the Morton Salt Company add iodine to their salt to help support the dietary needs of the people who lived in the Great Lakes area and the Pacific Northwest. People weren't getting enough iodine because the soil was naturally lacking in iodine. Lack of iodine causes goiter and other thyroid health imbalances. A healthy intake of iodine is 150 to 210 micrograms per day. Of course, don't take it if you are allergic to it. I know that iodine is the main component that keeps your thyroid working properly, but don't, talk to your doctor if you have thyroid issues. Don't start taking iodine if you have a shellfish or other type of iodine allergy. That can make you really, really sick. Salt has both its formation and dissolution in water, and it is white in color. These properties about salt are what make it sacred. One of the first practices with salt originates from the belief that salt protects a person from the devil. If salt is spilled, it is a sign that the devil is in the vicinity, and the person's guardian angel caused the salt to spill as a warning. The salt is pinched and tossed over the left shoulder to blind the devil. Salt was very expensive, and spilled salt also foretold of a quarrel between a couple. Spilled salt is also spilled salt also foretold of imminent days of sadness, since many tears are needed to rinse out the salt. Pour the salt onto a fire or a range in order to dry up the tears of sadness. Salt sprinkled onto the threshold of a home protects it from the devil and his henchmen. And when sprinkled on the floor, the devil won't come in and leave his tracks. He doesn't want you to know he's been there. So a little salt on your floor will keep him away. Important and beloved guests were greeted with pinch of salt placed in their right hand, or with a roll of salted bread given to the guest in their right hand. A pinch of salt under a baby's tongue will give the child a long, happy, and healthy life. The word salary comes from sal, the Latin word for salt. To be paid means to be worth your salt. It is believed that salt provides immunity to poison. Salt was mixed with poison so that a ruler could build a tolerance to it. This is the origin of the phrase, a pinch of salt a day prevents a change of ruler. Salt of the earth describes the cream of humanity. Salt was spilled between us means that a covenant was sworn between two people. Salt was harvested at Yunchen Lake in Shanxi province around 6000 BC. It appeared in the records of the Xia dynasty around 2000 BC, and by 500 BC, it began to be used as a soybean preservative, and this is where your soy sauce comes from. Egyptians salted fish and birds, and it has been found in tombs of the wealthy who were sealed over 4,000 years ago. Salt was mixed with water and vinegar to make an oxalate, and combined with fish parts to make a sauce that was served with many bland dishes. Very salty, very tangy kind of sauce. Egyptian mummies were preserved with salt. The body was covered with salt for 70 days and not one longer. The Egyptians traded salt with the Phoenicians in the Middle Eastern societies around 2800 BC, and the Phoenicians then traded it forward with the rest of the Mediterranean. By 800 BC, the Phoenicians were harvesting salt from the lakes in North Africa, and it was traded for salted fish and other goods. Celtic miners traded salt across the Roman Empire into Britain, France, Spain, Turkey, and North Africa. The Venetians traded salt with Constantinople. In Judaism, salt keeps the agreement between God and his people, and in both Islam and Judaism, salt seals a bargain. Indian troops pledged their loyalty to the British with salt. Ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans included salt in sacrifices and offerings. In traditional Japanese theater, salt was sprinkled on the stage to protect the actors from evil spirits. In Haiti, the only way to bring a zombie back to life was with salt. Salt, kosher salt, and regular table salt refers to the grain size of the salt. Under a microscope, salt has been milled. Table salt has been milled down to a small square crystal, while kosher salt is larger and less processed. Kosher salt became a ritually blessed. Kosher salt became a ritually blessed, fit or proper salt in the mid-19th century. Kosher, in this sense, means legitimate. Pink or Himalayan salt comes from the Punjab region of Pakistan at the base of the Himalayan mountains. This salt is similar to the table salt with 98% sodium chloride. It contains potassium, magnesium, and calcium as well. These give the salt the pink tint. Blocks of this salt can be used as serving dishes, cooking surfaces, cutting boards, and we see them regularly as lamps. Salt helps to relax the muscles, maintain hydration, send impulses along the nervous system, and prevents low blood pressure. But it also does cause high blood pressure, so moderation with salt in your diet. Science shows that eating salt can reduce the risk of infection from a harmful bacteria, and natural lithium salts have a positive, measurable effect on depression. A few more salty notes. Purifying, protecting, and cleansing, planet and element. We have earth, and it's a feminine energy. Salt, sea salt is a water element. It's used for spells, purging, to purge negative feelings. Himalayan salt aligns with earth and universe, protection for astral travel. Celtic salt, which comes from the coastal, it's a coastal salt from France for food and kitchen witchery. Black salt is inedible. It disperses negative energy, is used for protection, to break hexes, and for spell work. Hawaiian lava salt, salt with burnt coconut shell ash, is also edible and used for kitchen witchery. Blue salt, protection against the evil eye, justice, for healing, and is also inedible. Let's see. Black salt is really simple to make for a variety of magical and energetic purposes. So let's talk about what is black salt. What is the purpose of black salt? Black salt is used for protection, spell work, breaking hexes, banishing and driving away depression, dark entities, uninvited guests, and other magic workers who are focusing their energy on you. Black salt is not to be mistaken for black magic. Remember, the intention of the user makes any magic a maligned work. You are not creating black magic when nullifying or returning negative energy to its source unless you purposefully state intention to harm. Your intention in working magic is the difference between light magic and black magic. A spell to return to sender is a karmic lesson. It is not a black magic working. Many ritual components include dark moons, counterclockwise movements, and inverted pentagrams. These have been maligned, but ritual for warding, undoing, uncrossing, binding work, journeying to the afterlife, honoring the crone, and many other rituals and practices use these without being black works. Some ways to use your black salt. You can use them to ward off bad dreams, night watchers, and spirits by tucking them into a pouch and tucking your salts into a pouch and putting them under your bed, in the corner of your room, under your pillow. Put a line across your doorway and windows to keep out evil and unwanted company and send slander and jealousy back to its source. Sprinkle your black salts into your floor wash to cleanse your home, your walkway, your driveway, and ritual areas of negativity. So if you do your ritual work on an altar, or if you do it on a table in your backyard, use your salts to cleanse the area as well. You can add your black salts to bath water to absorb depression, anger, and upset. Keep some on your person in a little pouch to diffuse gossip, rude people, negative attention, and bullies. Sprinkle it in an enemy's yard, office, home, car, or in their footsteps so they will want to move. Balance out the difficult energy of use them to balance out the difficult energy of Mercury retrogrades. Clear items or possessions that you feel possess negative memories or attachments. If you have a ring or a piece of jewelry that belonged to a family member that you have negative memories or emotions with, set the item there in the salts and let it clear. Stick it under a moon while you're letting it sit in the salts as well. Will really clear the energy. You can use your black salts to call in your spirits and ancestors, and you can use it in conjunction with white salt, sage, holy water to absorb evil and purify yourself and your space. Pay attention, because black salt does absorb energy. Use it once and discard it. Change it up weekly when the air in your space feels clogged. Consider where you will discard that energy. You can use your black salt in a little dish in your room, the same way you would put a dish of baking soda in your refrigerator. You put the baking soda in the fridge to absorb odors and things from produce. You can use your black salt in your room to absorb negativity around you. And you want to, when you discard them, you want to flush them down the toilet. You want to put them in a moving body of water. You want to bury them away from your home. You want to toss them into the wind, going away from you and your home and space. You can bury them in the ground away from your life, cast it in the wind when it is blowing away from you, throw it into a fire. But if you do throw it into a fire, do not use the ashes of that fire for subsequent salt, making salts or rituals. Don't use those ashes for anything else. Discard them later. And cast it into cast it into a moving body of water, a ditch or yurt. Flush them down the toilet. So, how to make black salt. You are going to sea salt, rock salt, some charcoal, ashes from your sage and incense, eggshells, herbs, oils, and burnt ashes of your petition. So, I'm going to show you, but I don't have my eggshells in here. I'm going to run and grab them real quick. Hold on. Okay. All right. So here is, change the screen for you so you can see. So this is my mortar and pestle. It's made out of lava stone, and it's got a nice big bowl on it. I combined my salts here, so I'm going to put those in first. I'm going to put a portion of those in. Stir it up a little bit to make a little bowl in there. And I'm going to grind the ashes of my petition. So I made a sigil for protection, and I burnt it, and it's ready to put into, because I'm going to use these ashes here and this black salt for protection. So you grind it in. And then I'm going to put in my eggshells. Eggshells are used because they are, the protection in the home for a small bird as it develops.
Keep going.
Thank you. So we're just going to grind those in. Okay, and I'm going to add my charcoal. I have coal here that comes from incense that Corey and I have made, and some of our other favorite scented incenses, and we save all the ashes from those because they smell really wonderful and they're burnt with really good energy. So I'm going to set this here. I'm going to scoop some of those into there. And then I'm going to stir those in, grind those in. You can add ashes in from your sage that you smudge with, and your incense, if you have a favorite, if you have other things that you burn, you can save those ashes and grind them in. All right. I also am going to add in some black pepper. Some mugwort. And I'm going to add in some rose petals, a little bit of jasmine, and some black tea. When I use black salt for protection and for banishing, and whenever I do a banishing, I always send the person on their way with love and compassion and respect, because I don't want to inflict any harm. I just don't want their negativity in my space. So I include those in there. All right. That's all. Oh, and I'm going to add a little frankincense and a little myrrh, because this calls in my ancient ancestors. This calls in my spirits and my guides that I work with. Now, if you're going to mix a special batch for doing some kind of ritual work, this would be the time that you would add in your essential oils. So here, all you have to do next is put it in a container and label it, and mark your date on it and what your petition was that you put in there, so that you'll eventually have several little jars of different types of salt and what you want to use them for. So there's your black salt and how to do it. It's really simple. I'm going to push that there and let that fall off. Okay. Now we'll come back here to the slideshow. And other things that you can add into your black salt are brick dust, selenite shavings, cigarette or cigar ash, black pepper, red chili, wood ash, cinnamon sticks, cloves, burnt matches, dried rosemary, and dragon's blood. And that's fairly simple. You can incorporate all of those, some of those, or none of those. But that is the basics on your black salt. Another type of salt that gets used is blue salt. Blue salt is used to ward off jealousy or envy. The Malocchio can cause physical pain like stomach aches and headaches and muscle cramps, backaches, and any number of misfortunes. You can use the blue salt in the same manner you use the black salt. Incorporate your blue salt into your black salt to amplify its energy when you feel a need. The tradition of wearing or displaying a horn, which is the red, where's my little cursor? Here, there you go. The red horn evolved in old Europe when the horned animal, the moon goddess, was considered sacred. You can detect the curse of the evil eye by having the supposed victim drop 3 drops of olive oil into a bowl of water. If the oil forms an eye, the victim has received the Malocchio. Catholic tradition for clearing the Malocchio. Make the sign of the cross and say in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And then make the sign of the cross in the palms of both of your hands and say, Father, this prayer is being said for Alicia, and I pray it works in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Whomever you're doing the prayer for, you stick their name there, where I put mine. Let's see, I'm going to show you something. Hold on a second. There you go. This little hand symbol with the thumb between the first and second finger. When you are out in the world, if you feel that somebody is sending evil your way, the Italians put their hand in this position to ward it off. That is called the fiku. Whoops, there you go. And this little sign here is also to ward off. This is a hand symbol for warding off the evil eye and evil spirits. And we've all seen the blue Turkish eye that wards off the evil eye as well. I also carry this with me on my travels, the blue one, for safe travels. Ever since I started doing that, I've not had any incidents. I love carrying this with me. It's a great little bit of energy that comes with me on every travel. Protection spell for the home. Put your blue salt in 4 small jars or bottle and place one in each corner of your home. And you can say the following, or you can use this as a template for making your own little spell. Salt of the earth, guard this home while I'm here or when I roam. Keep it safe and all within. For good of all, let this bond begin. By my will, with harm to none, by earth's power, this spell is done. So mote it be. So, how to make blue salt. Blue salt is made very much in the same way that black salt is made. I'm going to move this. Squash. I'm going to make a small batch. So I have my salt here. And with blue salt, you want to incorporate things that are blue. Some eggshells for protection. White and blue things go into this. I'm making a mess. And you can't see me because I didn't change it. There you go. So, here we are. We have some salt, eggshells. I'm going to add in some corn flour. Some corn silk. And some blessed thistle. And you stir it in. A lot of people will use blue food coloring to get the really blue color.
Can't hear you.
What happened? Huh? I didn't touch anything. Okay. A lot of people will use blue food coloring to make their salt really blue. If I want it really blue, I will go and get blue mica, which is a mineral, instead of using an artificial like food coloring or something. But I like to add more than adding blue food coloring or mica. I like to add real blue flowers and things. So it looks like this. It's pretty textured, and let's see, can you see that well? Okay, there. And the blue is there. Lavenders, yeah, you could use some kind of purpley flower, blue flower, lavender flowers, lobelia, but that's what it'll look like. Yeah. Corey helped me come up with a list of flowers that were the right color. We be sure, if you want to, you can also add selenite shavings to this kind of salt. white pepper, blue mica, lobelia, different kinds of thistles, lotus flowers, flax flowers are blue, chia flowers are blue, morning flower, monkshod, delphinium, iris, pansies, lavender flowers, African violets, bluebells, western day flower, columbine, larkspur. Those are a lot of different kinds of blue flowers. Glory. Yep, we got that on there. Those can all go in your blue salt. So if you wanted to, let me see, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to grab this. Let me show you. If you wanted to incorporate them both for spell work or protection work, you have your black salt. You just throw your blue salt in there and mix it up and put it where you want it. Or do your spell work with it. There you go. Super simple. Lastly, I'll talk a little bit about building your apothecary. Your apothecary starts to become your personal energetic space where you make your prayers, your intentions. If you do spell work, where you do your spell work, where you do your healing work, all of this. So try, if you can, to dedicate a space to your apothecary items. This becomes a working space and that will contain your sacred things. Bless it with good intentions and protect it from negative, foul influences. Collect from nature when you can. Know your sources when you cannot.
Jamba Juice, you're gone.
Bye, Jamba. Collect from nature when you can, and when you do, mark on your containers where you got it from, what year and what season. Make sure they're really dry before you store them. That way they don't mold in your containers. And if you can't harvest do wild crafting or wild harvesting, or you don't have the room to grow them in your own place, know your sources. Trade with your friends for herbs. Know your sources and the energy of those places if you purchase them online. There are a lot of really great places that you can order really beautiful herbs from that you should not have any trouble with. Be sure that you store what you can in glass. Label everything with date and location if wild harvested, and check the health of your apothecary items regularly. You want to be sure really that they're as dry as you can possibly get them when you put them in their containers, so you don't have too much to worry about. But you should check your bottles pretty regularly to make sure that nothing has molded or infested with little critters, because molded and infested items are not useful when you need them. Anything that is bad, bury it or flush it, and clean your containers. I usually run it through a round of rubbing alcohol to kill any mold or bacteria that's on there, and then I run it through a hot wash in the dishwasher and then let it dry. That way it's clean and sterile and ready for your next plant material or other apothecary item that you're going to put in there. Be thoughtful and creative in organizing your apothecary. Your preparations here will help you manifest all your spiritual workings. So,
someone asked what school or what type or style of magic it falls under, witchcraft. I said it's Western-based kitchen magic, probably classified under hedge witchery or hedge magic. But if you have another answer that's better, I mean,
that's how I would classify it. I learned a lot of things about food and healing and herbs and mixing them together and the energy of them from my grandmother, who was Sicilian. So she identified herself as Strega, and I identify myself as my grandmother's daughter. So my grandmother's granddaughter. So that's, but kitchen hedge witchery is in simple terms.
Yeah. Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Can you get me in there? Okay, cool. Yeah, a lot of the basics for witchcraft cross over, uh, as most of your Western tradition will stem from, um, well, Pythagorean mystery school magic, which came up through Egypt, which came up through Samaria. You'll find a lot of the stuff we're talking about. Go into the Bible and look for anything with salt. Go on to any what's the, I'll get it in a second. It's a program that I use. It's the best Bible word search program, totally free. But look up salt and see how salt is used in there, and you look for the coding of salt. Salt goes all the way back to the ancient days. There's a to hijack your show here for a second, to tell a really cool story. And whenever I used to work with salt, I would think of the story. I've told it so many times. I've even told it on tour when we're at a spring and salts will come up from the desert ground, and when it dries, you'll get the salt deposits. They're all over the Southwest, but there's ancient.
And then there's the salt flats up in Utah that are just beautiful.
At Arches National Monument, like there's a whole valley full of salt. That's called Salt Flats over there as well, or the Salt Spires, something like that. And
they're Bonneville. There's salt flats out there too.
So there's an ancient story, and I believe it's an Indian story from India. Dot, not feather, and not feather.
I saw that.
And that actually does not offend my Native American friends. They actually laugh. It goes way back to, I think it's a Punjabi story, and it's called "I Love You Like Salt," and it's a tale of a king with these three daughters, and he said, "How much do each of you love me?" And the oldest daughter came and said, "I love you like gold." And he says, okay, and then second daughter comes, the middle one says, "I love you like diamonds." He's really happy. He's like, "Oh my gosh, diamonds." And then the youngest one comes and says, "I love you like salt." And the king got really upset, and he banished her to the kitchen to work with the servants. And he said, "I'll teach you some respect." And the head chef for the king, who was wise, and he kind of really liked that daughter. He had taken she was always running around in the kingdom and in the kitchen, and she kind of took a shining to her. He knew what she meant, and because he had been in there before, because she had been hanging around the kitchen. And that night, the king orders a big feast, and the chef, he leaves salt out of all the meats and all the food. There's no salt, and he had all this people invited and this big grand feast planned, and there was no salt in the food. And he demands that the chef come out, and he says, "What is this? What's the meaning of this?" And he says, "Well, Your Highness, with your reaction today to your daughter, I felt that I would be punished for putting salt in the food. So, from now on, we'll leave salt out of the food in this kingdom." And he realized, oh my gosh, like without salt, food is tasteless. I mean, I can only have so much gold on me, and I can only, diamonds, I can touch them, but the salt I eat three times a day, and all the joy in my life is gone. And then the chef looked over at his daughter, and then the king looked at the daughter, and he reconciled with the daughter. So and there's 100 versions of that story. Obviously, it's an ancient story, but I love you like salt. And that story was told throughout the ages, and today it's still told. Because salt is so crucial. It's in our bodies. We use it for healing. We use it for protection. We use it for both metaphysical protection and healing, as well as physical. Salt water, saline. First thing you do when you go into the hospital, hook up the saline.
Yep.
Hydrate them. So there's all that. I would also add one more tiny thing here. When you are working with salt, when I take people into the desert, I incorporate all 5 senses into every tour. So when we go to the Grand Canyon, we'll get on our hands and knees and we'll feel the sandstone, okay, while we're talking about it.
We'll listen to the hawk screaming, or I'll go find this little concave in the wall and listen to the wind whip by and whirl in it. We'll taste the cactus fruit out there, or the cactus jelly if we can find it, or whatever. We'll smell the cliff rose. I would advise, whenever you're working with your own energetic systems here, and even if you're Christian and you're praying, Christians don't generally get too many catalysts in there. Frankincense, right? That's why the Catholics use frankincense and myrrh. They have their all their paraphernalia that they use there. Christianity is a much purer form of connecting with the Creator than Catholicism, but Catholicism works so effectively because there are all those catalysts, and catalysts are real and they work. I would recommend putting a little bit of salt in your mouth while you're doing this, clean salt, and tasting it. I would recommend feeling the grains of the salt before you begin consciously feeling it, right? I would taste it, smell it. See if you can smell anything, smell all your other stuff. What I'm saying is incorporate all of your senses into your work while you're doing it, and even think of that story that I just told you. That way, you're infusing your own intention into your work, and people, that is where the magic happens. The same as a prayer or anything else. That's where all of this is going to come together, is your connection and that state that you're in.
Your energy in making it, your thoughts, and while you're stirring in
your hands,
your
movement.
ingredients, you're touching it, the sweat that happens when you're grinding, all of that. And as you are concentrating on making these things, you want to concentrate on focus protection into it. Imagine and see the realm of protection around you as you want it to be, and incorporate that in there mentally, with your sweat.
Yeah, and you want to visualize much the same way when you study athletes. And if you want to study witchcraft, study athletes. They will do visualization, and like the high jumper will sit there and he'll visualize going over it, and that connects with the muscle memory, and then they go. They said without visualization and visualization coaches, they couldn't be as effective as they are. So
that's right.
That's what I have to add. Doing great, baby.
Thank you. Anything that you spend the time visualizing, you are taking a thought into, when you transfer a thought into a visualization, you are changing the energy of it into matter. I don't know how to explain that, but that's what happens. So you change it into matter, and that matter moves forward. So yes, it's like a physical prayer. It is definitely a physical prayer. Everything that you do with your apothecary tools, everything that, as you spend the time, like Corey said, to put them together and touch them and be in them and smell them and feel them, creates the energy around the things you want to bring forward or manifest. So that's why, building your apothecary and taking the time to do it is important, because this becomes your workspace. This becomes the space where you allow your mind to be free of other thoughts, except for the things that you are working on, the things you are praying over, the things you are trying to heal or bless. So I hope that is it. We'll continue to talk going forward when we do kitchen witchery projects about building your apothecary. But this is a basic foundation for thinking about how you want your apothecary to be and your space that you want to work in. And finally, remember, you are powerful. Your meditations, preparations, and intentions harnessed with the alignment of planets, elements, numbers, and frequency are enough to affect profound change. Even more so, never forget that ritual and ceremony are the outward expression of the inner working that is truly the heart of your craft. They are secondary to energetic working within you. You are the energy that, and your thought and organization of the things that you plan to work really and truly are the heart of your magic. You don't need all of these things if you don't have them, or don't have the room for them, or the desire to use these types of tools in your practice and craft. You don't need them. Truly, it is your meditation and mental preparation harnessed with all these other things. And that can all happen internally, so that you don't have to use these tools if you don't want to. Everything else happens within you, and you manifest it forward by your working. So, do you have any questions? I'm going to let you look at the salt there on the table while we. Yeah.
Someone in here is saying that this, and we're in the chat here, they're getting Charles Manson vibes from the witchcraft.
Are they?
And I explained to them that Charles Manson facilitated the murder of 7 people. And this is a conversation about the healing arts and healing energetic works. And I don't personally see the correlation.
No, I don't see any correlation either here. The purpose of making salt and creating salt is for protection and healing. It is not for casting dark magic. If people do black magic with it, that is their own personal and individual attention. I am not teaching that here.
Yeah, and I say, the point of buying a car is to drive your family around. However, if you take your car and run someone over with it, well, that's not cool either. So it's kind of the same principle. Point of buying a gun is hunting and protecting yourself. However, if you go out and commit mass murder with a gun, well, there's problems there. Kind of like with witchcraft. It's the same thing, or the craft of the wise. And if you are of a Christian bent or raised on American TV and have no historical knowledge and haven't cracked a book in years or studied ancient theological systems, this probably comes off to you as being, and we talk about this on my channel all the time. In fact, that's what my channel's about at its core. This comes off to you as being dark, but it's the occult, and the occult is hidden. And this is knowledge of energy work that has been hidden from the masses. And it survived in the realms of hedge witches and kitchen witches and midwives at a folk level. And it has survived in the realms of higher magic with your secret societies and your organized, higher elite in our society, which have utilized the higher magic, which branches off into technology. This is what we call your lower magic, which, not to demean it, it's a classification within the different realms of energy work. So if that helps you at all, I kind of got to laugh when people say this is like Satanism, because I don't think we've mentioned Satan, and I really don't believe in an entity called Satan either. Satan is a product of the Christian theology, and well, that comes from Egyptian religious systems. So there you go.
Thank you.
Anything to add to that, by all means. I'll kiss you again.
Look at all these kisses I get today. Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome, baby.
In my practice over the last 22 years, I have spent time in healing people with energy, the use of Reiki and other types of energy work, intuitive listening to people and helping them move through their heartaches and problems and pains and things that have slowed their life down, and guiding them into more power and control over their lives and creativity in expressing themselves. I teach people about how to eat to be healthy, how to move their bodies and be physically fit. And I used to, yes, Corey is my kisser. and for 17 years, I did body work for people and personal training. I have a broad spectrum of knowledge to help people be healthy and well, which includes intuitive work, along with teaching them how to find healing and health from their plants and herbs and oils and things that are out in nature. So that is how I've spent my last 22 years in practice. And B. Wainscoat, you asked for a course. These little classes here will be the summation of my practice over the last 22 years, and I will continue to bring these kind of topics to you so that I can continue to share my practice in a way that I couldn't without a brick and mortar, a place for people to come and see me. So also, if you have questions on these topics or you want some guidance or help, message me and we'll see what we can do to get your energy cleared up, to get your life moving forward, and to bring clearing and healing and joy and peace to you. That is my personal practice. I like Himalayan salt best for cooking.
What about flake? What is flake salt?
Flake salt is very salinated water that's planed across the surface and dried.
Okay.
And
I know the French love to use flake salt.
it's beautiful and it's very mild.
Okay.
And it comes from a specific beach. So
yeah,
in
there's
France,
that French cook I've been watching on YouTube, and
he talks about it a lot.
yeah, that's all he uses is flake salt.
It's yummy. Yeah. Yes, somebody asked in the question again, if your salt is in containers, as long as you don't get any of it wet, it'll last forever. So if you have a little spoon or scoop that you can scoop it out of your containers with, I would recommend that. Or make sure your hands are dry, really dry, when you reach into your jars. Thanks for coming by, Silver Creek. No, flake salt is not very dependable. It is highly sensitive to moisture. Mm-hmm. Blessed be, Silver Creek. I appreciate you being here. You're welcome, Julian. All right, well, that covers my material for today. If there are no more questions, then I will kiss my moderator and we'll close it up for the day. Thanks for being here, everybody. I really enjoy sharing this stuff with you. And have a good day.
So the end of your thing here.
Hold on. Thank you, guys. All right, it's not turning off.
Go to your main window.
Okay. I know.
Just close the window. Probably because you gotta close this out first. There you go. Close that first. Okay, and
it's really flat and hard for me to see.
Please authorize a user first. All right, close it off. All right, close it off. Okay.
Just that one up there on the top. Yep.
There you go.
There.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's just kill that immediately.
No, don't close it. Just no. You stop the recording right there.
Oh, did you record it on your own too?
Yeah. Just in